If you've thought about leaving Windows but assumed Linux would be confusing, this update is worth your attention. Zorin OS 18.1 is designed to make the switch feel familiar, practical, and far less intimidating for everyday users. Better app guidance, stronger hardware support, smoother upgrades, and a cleaner desktop experience turn what used to feel risky into something many people can realistically try. And that matters right now. A lot of users are looking at their current Windows PCs and asking an uncomfortable question: do I really need to replace this machine, or do I just need a better operating system? For many households, the computer still works. The browser opens, documents load, streaming works, but the overall experience feels slower, noisier, or more demanding than it should. That is where alternatives become interesting. For years, Linux often lost beginners in the first hour. Not because it lacked power, but because it asked too much too soon. New terminology, unfamiliar layouts, confusing software choices, and uncertainty around apps pushed many people straight back to Windows. Zorin has spent years trying to solve that exact problem. Instead of treating new users like future system administrators, it treats them like regular people who simply want a computer that works. The desktop can feel familiar to Windows users, settings are easier to navigate, and common tasks do not feel buried behind technical language. The goal is simple: reduce friction from day one. Zorin OS 18.1 continues that strategy with some genuinely useful upgrades. For most people, switching operating systems is not about kernels or package formats. It comes down to one question: can I still do what I need to do? That means web browsers, office tools, media players, messaging apps, note-taking software, video calls, cloud storage, and the handful of utilities people rely on every week. If those feel uncertain, people stay where they are. Zorin understands that. According to the official release details and coverage from Linux news outlets, Zorin OS 18.1 expands its built-in database that recognizes Windows installer files by more than 40%, now covering over 240 apps. In plain English, if a beginner tries to run a Windows installer, the system can offer better guidance instead of leaving them stuck. That guidance matters more than it sounds. Many people do not actually need the Windows version of an app. They need the function the app provides. There may already be a native Linux version, a web version, or a reliable alternative that does the same job. New users often do not know where to start. Good guidance can save hours of frustration. That changes the emotional experience of switching. Instead of feeling like every click is a gamble, the user gets direction. Instead of wondering whether they made a mistake, they see a path forward. That confidence is often the difference between someone exploring Linux for a weekend and someone staying with it long term. One of the biggest myths about Linux is that it always requires endless tweaking. Years ago, that fear was easier to justify. Today, many mainstream distributions are dramatically better on modern hardware, and Zorin benefits from that progress. Zorin OS 18.1 is built on the Ubuntu 24.04 LTS base, which brings access to newer enablement stacks, updated drivers, and long-term maintenance. In practical use, that can translate into broader support for newer laptops, better graphics behavior, improved Wi-Fi compatibility, and fewer surprises after installation. For beginners, that is critical. Nothing kills enthusiasm faster than installing a new operating system and discovering the trackpad behaves strangely, suspend mode, fails, or wireless networking becomes unreliable. Technical users may troubleshoot for hours. Beginners usually uninstall and leave. A smoother out-of-box experience changes everything. It means the first impression is not stress. It is relief. This release arrives during a moment when many users are reassessing their relationship with Windows. Millions of older PCs are still capable machines. They browse the web, handle documents, play media, and run everyday tasks without issue. Yet many owners feel pressure to upgrade hardware long before the computer itself is truly finished. That creates an opening for operating systems built around efficiency. Linux has always appealed to enthusiasts, but now it is reaching a more practical audience, people who want to keep using hardware they already own. They are less interested in ideology and more interested in value. If your laptop still functions but feels weighed down, a lighter operating system can matter more than new components. And that is where Zorin becomes highly relevant. Not every household has a recent laptop with premium specs. Many people have older devices sitting in drawers, used only when necessary, because they feel too slow. Zorin's Lite Edition targets that reality. The Lite version uses the XFCE desktop environment rather than the heavier GNOME-based main edition. Reports on the 18.1 generation highlight XFCE 4.20, refreshed themes, updated tools, web app integration, a redesigned file manager, and fingerprint reader support. The technical names matter less than the result. Older machines can feel responsive again. Apps open faster. Basic tasks feel smoother. A forgotten backup laptop can become a useful daily machine. For students, families, or anyone on a budget, that is a meaningful upgrade without spending money on new hardware. Sometimes, the best upgrade is the one that costs nothing. Many reviews focus on features users may never touch. Real satisfaction usually comes from tiny moments repeated every day. Can you find your files quickly? Can you place two windows side by side without fighting the interface? Can settings be located without searching forms? Can the system stay stable and predictable? These questions determine whether an operating system feels pleasant or exhausting. Zorin OS 18.1 includes interface refinements, such as improved window tiling options, panel indicator controls, and broader layout improvements, including right-to-left language support. None of these sound dramatic in a headline. Together, they shape how polished the system feels. That polish matters because beginners notice friction immediately. A missing option, a confusing menu, or a cluttered layout may seem minor to experts. To new users, it can feel like the platform is not ready. Smooth details build trust silently. There's another barrier people rarely discuss: maintenance anxiety. Even users who enjoy a fresh install often worry about the future. What happens when the next version arrives? Do files need to be backed up and everything reinstalled? Will settings break? Will the system become a weekend project? Zorin's direct upgrade path for supported releases helps answer those fears. Existing users can move forward without rebuilding their digital life from scratch. That may sound ordinary, but it is exactly what mainstream users expect. The best operating systems do not demand constant attention. They improve quietly in the background, while people focus on work, school, or life. Fast-moving software launches generate headlines, but reliability keeps people around. Zorin OS 18.1 inherits a long support window, with security updates expected through June 2029 based on official guidance. That gives users years of stability instead of a short runway. Why does that matter? Because beginners learn gradually. They may need time to discover alternatives, adapt habits, and build confidence. A system with long-term support gives them room to grow without feeling rushed into another major transition. For schools, families, and casual users, stability is often more valuable than constant novelty. First, Windows 10 users with older hardware. If your PC still handles normal tasks but feels increasingly frustrating, Zorin may extend its useful life and improve the day-to-day experience. Second, Linux curious beginners. If previous attempts felt overwhelming, Zorin is one of the easier entry points because it focuses on familiarity and usability rather than assuming technical experience. Third, students and casual users. If most of your workflow lives in the browser, documents, email, streaming platforms, messaging apps, and cloud tools, the transition may be easier than you expect. Fourth, privacy-conscious users. Some people are tired of operating systems that feel noisy, distracting, or overly eager for attention. A cleaner environment has real appeal. No operating system is perfect for every person. If your work depends on niche enterprise tools, highly specialized creative software, proprietary legacy programs, or hardware with weak Linux support, research is still necessary. Compatibility has improved enormously, but your exact workflow matters more than general headlines. Gaming has also improved significantly on Linux, but specific multiplayer titles and anti-cheat systems can still vary. Anyone switching primarily for gaming should verify the games they actually play. That honesty is important. People do not need false promises. They need accurate expectations. Zorin OS 18.1 is not valuable because it replaces every scenario on Earth. It is valuable because it covers far more real-world scenarios than many people assume. The most important shift may not be technical at all. For years, trying Linux often felt like a hobbyist decision. Something interesting but slightly outside the mainstream. That perception is changing. Today, users are more willing to question defaults. Hardware is expensive. Subscriptions add up. Many people want simpler software. Others want more control over the devices they already own. When those pressures rise, alternatives become stronger. And in moments like this, the winner is rarely the most complex platform. It is the platform that feels approachable at exactly the right time. That is why Zorin OS 18.1 matters beyond its feature list. It lowers the barrier to entry when more people are ready to look for another option. So, is this the Linux release beginners should watch? For many people, yes. Not because it instantly converts every Windows program into a perfect Linux replacement. Not because every professional workflow will move over without adjustments. And not because everyone needs to leave Windows right now. Those claims would be unrealistic. What makes this release important is something far more practical. It removes several of the barriers that stop people before they even begin. The fear of opening a new system and feeling completely lost. And the fear of losing access to the apps and tools they use every week. The fear that an older laptop has no future unless more money is spent. The fear that Linux belongs only to enthusiasts who enjoy troubleshooting. When those concerns become smaller, people are far more willing to experiment. And that willingness matters, because major platform shifts rarely happen through one dramatic moment, and they happen when trying the alternative no longer feels intimidating. That is where Zorin OS 18.1 has real value. It focuses on the first experience. The first boot, the first search for settings, the first app install, the first week of daily use. Those moments decide whether someone stays or returns to what they already know. If you tested Linux years ago and walked away frustrated, today's experience may surprise you. If your current laptop still functions but feels slow or neglected, this could be a smart second chance for that hardware. If you want an operating system that feels cleaner, quieter, and simpler to use, Zorin OS 18.1 is one of the most approachable places to begin. This is more than another routine Linux release. For many beginners, it may be the first version that makes leaving Windows feel genuinely possible.